All right, so over this next hour, what we're going to do is we're going to cover JavaScript and Python fundamentals, and you'll find out that it's pretty easy to translate between the two of them. One thing I will mention is that the likelihood of your working in Python and or JavaScript for the rest of your career is very, very small. So you're probably, whatever we're learning here is likely not what you're going to be doing in maybe a year, maybe 3 years, definitely not 5 years from now. When I first started learning, Ruby was like the new hotness for everything. This was early 2010s. So like Ruby was like the way of the future. Everyone was building up on it. Like Groupon was, I worked at Groupon before, and that was like that's a big Rails, Ruby on Rails shop. And now Ruby is pretty much dead. So I'm not really using it that much. But because I know Ruby, I can translate pretty easily into Python. And the idea behind everything that we're trying to teach is like, don't get super caught up in the nuances of everything. You want to be a good generalist. So the concepts that we're teaching will translate between different languages pretty easily. So what we're going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit about Python. You can read most of this in the curriculum for yesterday, I think. But you can read all of this stuff on your own. We're just going to talk about arithmetic, variables, strings, and just see like, this is really, really similar stuff, and you don't need to be afraid of it. So I'm not on my desktop. Let me go into my desktop. So CD into desktop. I want to list out everything, so I'm going to do ls. And I'm going to make a new, I'm going to actually, how do I kill the factorial folder? I don't need any. How do I remove the folder? rf space dash rf factorial. All right. When your terminal doesn't blow up like this, I got a few questions on this on the Slack channel. When your terminal basically does everything and then doesn't blow up on you, it probably means that it did okay. So if I list out everything again, you'll see that factorial disappeared. Cool. How do I make a directory? How do I create a new folder? mkdir. Let's call this examples. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to list out everything again. There's examples where factorial used to be. You'll notice that this is in alphabetical order. And I want to change from where I'm at to examples.js. I'm going to open this whole thing in this current window of VS Code using the -r. So take VS Code, open in this window this current folder that I'm in. It's just going to reload. And there's that examples folder. Nothing inside of it right now. I'm going to create two files. I want to create a examples.js and an examples.py file. How do I do that? How do I create files? Touch. I can do examples.js and examples.py. I'm going to create two in one. It's pretty nice. Enter. You'll notice that these two magically appear, which is really nice. I'm going to open them up. I'm going to split the screen by right-clicking and saying split right. I can close this out, and then I can have two things side by side, just like that. We're real coders. So a quick background on Python. Python's been around for a long time, since 1991, and some people may have been born after 1991, but it's an older language. I know Jesse was saying that he did C# and C. Everything at the end of the day when it comes to computers is just a bunch of ones and zeros. It's called binary because it's a bunch of electrical, underneath the hood of this super powerful machine, it's just a bunch of electrical currents. And it's 1 for on and 0 for off. Lower level languages, like not to say that lower level languages are easier, they're actually much harder. Lower level languages are closer to the 1s and 0s. So you have to tell computer literally everything that you want it to do. Kind of like what we're doing, but even to a more granular thing. If you wanted to create an array with like 5 things in it, you basically have to tell the computer, hey, I am going to create an array. It has 5 things in it, and I need to assign it to this particular memory address on the machine. It's much more difficult. So yeah, lower level languages, really, really close to like the hardware itself. Higher level languages like JavaScript and Python translate into lower level languages, which would then translate into languages. So it's there's 2 steps between your language that you're typing and your computer versus 1 step, which connects to your computer. C# and C and Java are much harder than JavaScript and Python as a result. But nobody really cares about that kind of performance anymore because we can just buy more machines and make it faster. What else? So when we talk about high-level and low-level languages are languages that connect very closely to computer's processing unit. And the pro is that it's super fast because it's just directly connecting to your computer's CPU. But it's really, really tedious because you got to assign the memory address. You have to keep track of all that kind of stuff yourself. When I do some variable, like const my name, I don't have to worry about where this is being stored in my machine. JavaScript will take care of that for me. In some level like C and C#, you have to tell it where it needs to go. So let's talk about the differences between JavaScript and Python. It's pretty simple, straight up. How do I do 1 + 1 in JavaScript? No kidding. 1 + 1. How do you think I do that in Python? 1 + 1. And just like that, you know a little bit of arithmetic. Many of the operations are the same. So all your basic arithmetic, like your plus, your minus, your divide, and your subtract, those are all going to be the same across the board. If I go into Node, I do 5 - 2, I get 3. Good. Work it out. Okay. If I enter my Python shell and I do the same thing, 1 + 1, 2, 3, - 2 is 1. The same arithmetic in both. The only difference that you're going to find is that there is something called rounding down division inside of Python that doesn't exist inside of JavaScript. So let's say that I want to do 5 and I want to round down. 5 divided by 2 is what? 2.5, right? But in Python, it won't actually give you 2.5. This will actually give you 2.5, but let's say you just wanted the whole number. I just wanted like the 2 and not the 0.5. The way that we do that is just it's doubled right over here. Let's see that in action. Python, I'm going to do 5 divided by 2. I get 2.5. 2.5 is an example of a what data structure? It's a float. It's a float there. So 2.5 is a float. The 0.5, anything that has a decimal on it makes it a float. If it's a whole number, then it's an integer. If I wanted to just get the 2 instead of the 0.5, I just do 5, round down to 2, and I get that 2 instead of the 0.5. How do I do exponents? If I want to do 3 to the 5th power, 3 * 5. How do I do that inside of? Same thing, same exact thing. Not terribly difficult. So we covered arithmetic. It's pretty much the same thing. What's that? Yes, incrementing is slightly different. Let's cover that in just a little bit. How do you round up? You'll have to import like a math module. Let's talk about variables. I want to have my name. Let's say first, my first name is equal to Jonathan. And this is probably a let. I can change my name if I ever am on the run, or I'm in witness protection. So I'm going to keep it as a let because this is something that I can actually change. It's not fixed to me. This is the way that we determine a variable inside of JavaScript. So let my first name equals Jonathan. What do you notice about the spacing? Like how does JavaScript use, what capitalization do they use? It's camel case. I don't understand personally why the first letter is not capitalized, but that's a different topic for a different time. But it's like, because camels, they got the tall heads, and then it goes down, and then they got the humps, and then every other one, like every new word after that is a capital letter. That's how you can determine this. It's called camel case. Oh, that is something I learned today. Thank you. So if I wanted to, my first name, the first one is going to be lowercase, and then every new word after that is going to be just uppercase. This is what's called camel case. And I just wanted to print that out. So I'm just going to do console.log my first name. Clear the screen. How do I run a JavaScript file? Node, and then examples.js. And it prints out Jonathan right there. Now, if I'm doing the same thing inside of Python, it's very similar, except that it's what's called snake case. So snake case, I'm not capitalizing every single new word. I'm just connecting with underscores. So my first name equals Jonathan. And it's not console log, it's print. Literally the same thing on both. So line one, this is how I create a new variable. This is how I create a new variable. Console log is print, print is print. And if I run Python examples.py, Node is for JavaScript, Python is for Python. Same thing. Pretty simple. Strings, same thing. Single or double, just make sure it's consistent.
You do backticks as well in Python?
I cannot do backticks in Python.
So in Python, if you're going to do string interpolation, yep, you have to go with the double quotes. Those kind of things.
No.
So you can use
yeah, that is true. Yes. Let's do some quick interpolation. Let's do let me add one more. So not my first name, but my last name. Anybody want to know what command I just ran to copy the entire line? So I put my cursor anywhere on any line, and then if I just do Control-C there, it'll copy the entire line that you're currently on. If I just go down and I paste it, and I have the entire line rather than highlighting the whole thing and copying it and bringing it down. And paste it. So I'm going to change this to my last name. If I wanted to print out my first name and my last name, I could just do my last name. Let's just see if this works. Node examples.js. Jonathan, I need to put a space in there, and then add in my last name. This is one way of printing out my first and last name. Another way that I can print out my first and last name is using what's called interpolation. This should all be reviewed. So somebody tell me how I can use string interpolation to print out Jonathan Young without doing the plus signs and the spaces and all that.
Also log, backticks, $, curly braces, first name. And then you can just put a space with it, same thing for your last name.
That looks right. Let's find out. Jonathan Young. Perfect, right down there. So this is the way that we do it inside of JavaScript. We have backticks, a $, and then the curly brace to interpolate. Interpolation is nothing more than, hey, whenever you see these curly braces, find the value of whatever this thing is inside the curly brace and substitute it in there. So interpolation equals substitution. Same thing happens over here. All I have to do is my last name equals Young. And then I'm just going to print with an F in the front. I think it's just my first name space my last name. And then how do I run a Python file? Python examples.py. Something might go. Thank you. Same exact thing. Not terribly difficult. It's just slightly different syntax. But fundamentally, underneath it, all the programming concepts are the same. If you don't know how to do something, we can just Google it. It's not terribly challenging. That's what I'm trying to demonstrate. Booleans. What are Booleans? True or false? How do I say true or false inside of JavaScript? Lowercase or uppercase? Lowercase. That looks like it works. True and false. These two are Booleans. So I've got in Python, it's the same thing. It's still a true or false, but it's capital T and capital F. True, false. And the way that we do comments is a hashtag instead of 2 forward slashes. Booleans. And Let's say that I wanted to get some sort of input from the user. I'm just going to say, actually, we don't need for that. Let's talk about conditional logic. Let's say that you are, I think I use this on many of your free works as well. Let's say that your age is currently 15. How do I set a variable called age to 15 in JavaScript? So you said let age equals 15. Why is it let and not constant? Yeah, your age is something that will change over time. So let's say that I want to create a quick if-else statement. So we're going to write some pseudocode. So if age is, actually we can just type it. So if your age, what's the drinking age here in the US? 21. Okay. Is that a constant or is that a let? It's a constant. Yeah, it's probably not changing. Well, for the sake of arguments today, the drinking age is equal to 21. I want to create an if-else statement that says basically, if your age is less than the drinking age, print out that, hey, you're not allowed to come into the bar or you can't order a drink. Otherwise, say, what would you like to order? Let's just do that. Someone from the remote side, please tell me what to do. I'm going to call on Amir. Why don't you tell me how to do that? Hal, why don't you tell me to do that?
Can you hear me?
I can.
I was following along, but I didn't catch that last statement. What did you want me to do again?
Sure. So we've got two variables here. We've got let age equals 15 and constant for the drinking age equal to 21. I want to create a script that says that checks your age. Basically, I want you to tell me
if.
So basically, what I want is if my age is greater than or equal to the age, print. What would you like to order? Otherwise, print out you can't order yet. You're too young.
All right. So I would start with if space open paren age is age is greater than drinking age, greater than or equal to, pardon me, drinking age, close paren, open curly brace, new line.
Yep.
We're going to print a console log, open paren, yeah. What would you like to order? And I guess you said that semicolons are out of style. So, but I've been using the semicolons either way.
Sure. It doesn't hurt to add it. You just don't need to do it if you find it annoying.
Then from where you are, else.
Okay.
Open curly brace, console log, open paren, get out of here.
All right, I'm going to comment out everything else just for now so that we have this. I need these two uncommented. So I've got let age equal 15. This is something that can change. That's good. We've got that let there. We've got a constant of the drinking age in the US is 21. If your age is greater than the drinking age, so if your age is greater than or equal to 21, console log, what would you like to order? Otherwise, say, get out of here. Seems like this will work. Node examples.js, and it says, get out of here. Works for me. Let's translate that directly into Python. Comments everything out again. We're going to go down to line 8. Good. Anything? Yeah.
I think you have to comment code out.
Sure. The question was for the record. so I generally repeat things just for the recording because it might not capture. So I highlighted these first 6 lines right here, and I mass applied a series of hashtags to the front to make them all comment blocks. You highlight what you want to comment, hold down Command, press the /, and it'll comment or uncomment. So I can just toggle real quick. The way you can determine, go ahead, Mike.
You don't even have to highlight the whole line. As long as part of the line is highlighted, and you press that on.
True. And Mike.
/.
It's so it's /. This is a VS code.
Oh, okay.
This is basically a shortcut. So same thing over here. I can just comment out. Same thing. The way that you can tell a / from a backslash is if you imagine a vertical plane, you're staying straight up. If I'm leaning forward, like this thing next to the question mark is, then it's a /. If you're leaning backwards, then it's a backslash. Same exact thing. You don't have the lets and the consts inside of Python, so it's just age and drinking age just determined like this. Your variables are going to be snake cased instead of camel cased. And there's a little bit less typing inside of Python, which you may or may not like. Yeah.
So for JavaScript, the indentation
Yeah. It is correct. This is right. You could do 2 spaces. You could do 4. That we didn't argue that, but those are small semantic things. Your question is, in JavaScript, do I need to have it on a separate line like this? For the else?
Yes.
On line 13, you mean? You don't need to have, you can do it like that. But in that, yeah. This is the standard. The way that we do it inside of JavaScript, like you can kind of compare line 11 on both. It's if and then if and then parentheses, the condition that you want to check. Inside of Python, it is, let me just run it, make sure. Get out of here. You don't have the curly brace. Your curly brace, you don't have the parentheses. The curly brace is replaced by a colon, and spacing is extraordinarily important here. If I don't have the proper indentation, this might still run, but I don't think it'll be happy. Nope, it immediately blows up. So the good thing about Python is that it'll tell you, I can't run because it doesn't have curly braces to open and close things. Like I could technically, I think in JavaScript, I could just smash this all together into one line, and I think this will still run. Let's run those examples. And it still runs right down over here. It's impossible to read, but due to the fact that there are curly braces and parentheses and everything, that's how it determines whether or not it's a legitimate program or not. Let me bring this back to what it was. Inside of Python, because we don't have those opening and closing curly braces and the parentheses and everything, your indentation has to be perfect. So the traditional indentation for Python is 4 spaces. You'll notice that this is a much larger indent rather than these 2, which only has 2 spaces. And that's that should be built into your editors once you open up the Python file. Questions on this?
Do you utilize constants in Python?
You can. The way that the question was, can I use constants? Over here on line 9, I said the drinking age is going to be something that's not going to change. The way that I would do that in Python, just make everything caps. Any other questions? Let's iterate on this.
Sorry,
So,
one question, John.
Go ahead, Hal.
Making it all caps, though, doesn't give the functionality that you get in JavaScript, right?
It does. So I can't.
You can't
So-
change it.
I believe if I have a drinking age on line 9 and drinking age on line 10, and I try to overwrite something that's a constant, I believe it should blow up, but I'm not positive. We'll find out right now. Blew up. Identifier drinking age has already been declared. This is the idea of a constant. Once I declare it one time, I can't declare it again. This is something that can't change. So if I do drinking age, let's just do drinking age equal to 22. I believe it's the same thing, where once you determine a constant on line 9 over here, and you declare the same thing on line 10, it should blow up. Let's hope that it does. Boo. I'm not sure, but we can just look it up.
With the drinking age for variables for constant, I think you're unable to make that value change. So it's always
That's actually a good point. Let's find out if Tom is right. So what Tom is saying is that while this doesn't blow up royally, maybe let's just print drinking age. Nope, you can.
for JavaScript. Does it change?
It blew up. Oh, sorry. You have to import the constant in order to actually make that a constant.
They're going to use this bridge for keyboard.
Probably not. This is more of an example than anything else. Let's iterate on this actually. Oh, magic again. If you have two things that you want to update at the exact same time, you'll notice that on line 9, I have drinking underscore age, and on line 10, drinking underscore age. Before they were both capitalized, and I don't want to rewrite both of them at different times. Double click on the thing that you want to change. Press Command D. It'll select another one. Command D again. It'll select the third one. It's like all the times that you typed out drinking age as caps, and I can just change it all to drinking age in lowercase. So I'm updating 3 lines at once rather than 3 times, which is nice. All right, let's iterate a little bit on this one. Let's say that I want to say, okay, so the drinking age in the US is 21. From what I heard, many people when they're deployed, they go to different countries and the drinking laws are a little bit different. So let's name another country where the drinking age is slightly younger. What's that? Australia was 16. All right, let's say the const of current country, say that's a let because that's something that can change. Current country is equal to Australia. All right, so if you are over the drinking age, which is 21, we probably have the most restrictive drinking laws. I'm just going to say, what would you like to order? If I wanted to say, if your age is greater than 16, and I wanted to create something else, age is greater than 16, and current country is equal to Australia. This is pretty simple. Let's read through it. Line 8, we got age is equal to 17. This is how old you are right now. Your current drinking age, the drinking age is 21 in the US, and your current country is Australia. If your age is greater than or equal to drinking age, you're going to say, what would you like to order? I put the most restrictive thing at the very top, generally speaking. So if your age is 21 or older, you can order alcohol in every country, right? Every country that serves alcohol. Otherwise, here's another if statement. If your age is greater than or equal to 16, because you said that was their drinking age, right? Let's pretend that it is 16 for the sake of arguments. And the current country is equal to Australia. You can say, welcome to Australia, what would you like to order? Because it's a different drinking age. So all we've done really is we've added an else if statement. The way that I can do the exact same thing inside of Python, let's just change that. Let current drinking age, I'm just going to say current country is equal to Australia. And I basically, all I did was I added in an else if statement. Now this is where I don't like It's elif is gross. This is it. So let's just run both of them just to make sure that they both work. So we're going to run Python examples. Welcome to Australia. What would you like to order? And I'm going to change this to JS, change this to Node. Welcome to Australia. What would you like to order? So the code on the left and the code on the right are synonymous. I've got age is equal to 17, age is equal to 17, drinking age is 21, drinking age is 21, current country is Australia, current country is Australia. We went over this already. The second one is the else if. We don't type in else if, it's really annoying. We do elif. I guess programmers are lazy. We do age is greater than or equal to 16, so that's the same. But in JavaScript, you do the double ampersand to do like a conditional statement with like the ands or the ors. And then inside of Python, you just type in the word and or the word for. Speaking of that, I have a fun little thing. Let's say, not great. So what does this double ampersand do? It's a logical and. What is a logical and? It's true when both conditions are true. And the way that I like to think about it is, let's say that you have a significant other, your significant other, and you are going out for a meal or for a date. If you're in a good mood and your date's in a good mood, is your date probably going to be a success? Yeah. True, right? So if you're happy and your date is happy, then you will probably have a successful date. Now, if you've been married for a while like me, A or B, you're in a good mood, or your spouse is in a good mood, but not both. Is it a good date? Probably not. That's a faulty statement. So the first thing that evaluates to false is going to exit out as false. So if it's A and B, both of them must evaluate to true in order to be true. But if it's A or B, it's most likely going to evaluate to false because both of you like. It's not. Basically, that's how I try to remember it. If both parties are happy, then it's a happy date. If either party is unhappy, then it's probably an unhappy date. So you've got this age. This must both evaluate to true. So if your age is greater than or equal to 16, which is true, and your current country is Australia, which we determined on line 10, then this whole thing evaluates, and that's why we get the welcome to Australia, what would you like to order. You'll also notice that in JavaScript there are 3 equal signs, and in Python there are 2. Those are the 2 big differences. Let's see, we've got 25 minutes. How are people feeling so far? Are there any questions on this? All right, I'm going to start flying through stuff because I'm running out.
For JavaScript, what is the difference when you use 2 equal signs and 3 equal signs?
In JavaScript, if you do 2 equal sign, it checks for is it pretty much true? Versus if you do triple equals, it means it must be exactly that same thing.
Okay, thank you.
What's that?
Value and by type.
Value and by type. The other one's just value. Okay. All right. So let's talk about loops. Loops is when you do something over and over again. I just came back from visiting my nieces in New Jersey, and it is terrible because it's the same thing over and over again. You read one storybook, and then 5 minutes later, I want to hear the same story. It's kind of like you're operating on a loop. So when you do stuff over and over again, you could either type it all out, or you could, just write a loop for it. Let's say that building off of this, let's change a few things. Let's get rid of this. Actually, I'm just going to keep all of the comments in. Let's say that's your age, 17. And we're going to create a quick loop. So let's say while age is less than 21. Oh, whoops. Is this JavaScript? I'm forgetting at this point. Okay. Console log. You are only age years old. Come back when you're older. I'm just going to age plus equals 1. Or you can just do age plus plus. What do you think is going to happen? How many times will this run? Forever? I believe it will run 17, 18, 19, and 20. So it'll only run 4 times. Let's find out. So I've got a loop. This is called a while loop. So basically what's happening is saying, while this condition is true, execute this code. Once the condition is not true, I'm going to exit. Clear? Node examples.js. You were only 17, 18, 19, and 20, and then stop. So it did run through 4 times. This is an example of a while loop, something that you're going to do over and over and over again. The same exact thing on the right side is age equals 17. While age is less than 21, print F, single quote, you are only something years old, come back when you're older. What happened to my syntax on 21?
It thinks that your string ended.
Mm-hmm. Right over here. Because I started off with a opening single quote, once I opened it up with a single quote, it thinks that I'm done right over here, and then it doesn't know what to do with this. So there's 2 ways I can address this. I can either get rid of the single quote and make it a double quote. This way, when the apostrophe, which is also interpreted as a single quote, comes up, it doesn't think anything of it. Or I could do what's called escaping the single quote and change this back. These both will work. By putting a backslash before an apostrophe when you open and close single quotes, you're doing what's called escaping this. Your choice, doesn't really matter. Age plus equals 1. Let's run this in Python. Examples.py. Still the same thing. It runs through 4 times, and it looks pretty similar. I don't have the parentheses. I don't have the curly braces, so the spacing is very, very important. Can I actually do plus plus on this? Let's find out. I think you can. Nope. Okay, I'm wrong. Feel comfortable with loops? You want to cover a do while? I think that's just a while loop. I'm pretty sure. I'm not positive.
I was a little bit unclear yesterday because I got the Python problem. Whenever you're just doing a loop like we did before with the factorial.
Yeah.
Right, so just a for loop.
Yep.
In Python. I saw for in loop, but I didn't like the material for the actual Python. I didn't see the actual for loop where we said for let not equal or whatever, where you set your balance and your iteration.
Yep.
I didn't see that. So I actually did a problem, and I just used the while loop and then just like, yeah, I just did exactly the same.
Yeah. Yeah. So here is, so the question was, inside of JavaScript, I can do stuff like JavaScript, I've got basic loops like this using for. So I've got let fruits equal apple, banana, and cherry. And I've got a for loop that starts off with the iterator at 0, goes until the length of fruits, which is 2, not including 2, and it goes up by 1 each time, and I just console log the fruits at I. So let's just run this to make sure that we actually print out apple, banana, and cherry on 3 separate lines. Let me clear the screen. Node examples.js. Apple, banana, and cherry, just like that. There is no equivalent loop that I know of inside of Python. So the way that we do this in Python is we do, let's say that I have fruits equals to apples, banana, and cherry. I just do for fruit in fruits. I just print fruit.
It's the same as a for in JavaScript.
Exactly.
So it's either you do a while loop or you do a for.
Yes.
Is there a way to reference index things without a variable?
Yes. So let me explain a few things. This for loop is actually not iterating over this at all. Like this is just a number loop. This still runs. I can just print out like essentially what this I is doing is it's saying I'm just going to start at 0 and go until 2. So if I run node examples.js, I get sorry, you're gonna find that quite often today as you go through this as well. What?
You ran Python.
You ran Python.
Thank you. All right, 0, 1, and 2. So this is actually not going to. This actually doesn't really do anything with relation to fruits. This is just a for loop. It starts off at 0, goes until 3, but not including 3, so 0, 1, 2, and just prints out 0, 1, and 2. If you want to get to the contents within it, you have to access the actual array at that particular index. What this is doing over here is that it's doing what's called a for in loop. So for fruit in fruits, I think, is that right?
Yeah, it's going to be in the
Console log fruit.
I think if you for let fruit in fruit. But not, it might be of because it's a
Cool.
And
in is for
In is for objects, yeah. Yeah.
But sometimes it gets a little funky.
Sure. Essentially, if you want to just have the numbers of the index, you can do the for loop with the 0 and then going into the length, but you still have to access the actual object, like the actual item itself. So my previous example, let me just copy this so I don't lose it. In the previous example here, I is just a number. We saw that 0, 1, 2 a bunch of times. If you want to access apple, banana, and cherry, you have to get the actual full array at 0, 1, and 2 in order to get it. What we were doing just now is, let's say that we don't care about the index whatsoever. We don't care about that number. We just want the actual item itself. You can do a for loop, which is for let fruit of fruits, which will allow you to get access to the actual item itself. Inside of Java, inside of Python, it's just for fruit in fruits, and then you can just print the fruit out. If you wanted to get the actual index as well, you'd have to do, I think it's index fruit in enumerate fruits. Let's just run that. Python examples.py. Apple 0, banana 1, cherry 2. Yeah. So you do have access to both of those things, but it's an extra step. Yes.
the other way you could do it is do it at for range fruits.length.
Yeah. And that is another way of doing it. All right, I am running real short on time. Let's talk about creating methods. Okay, I want to say, let's just say that we want to create a method in JavaScript that takes in the first name and then prints out hello and then the first name. What do I have to type for that? Let's go with someone on remote. Erling?
You said you just want to print out hello?
Yep, I just want to, so let's say I want to create a method in JavaScript that's called say hello, and then it's going to take a first name and then just going to print out hello first name.
Okay. One moment.
So first things, how do I create a method inside of JavaScript?
You said how do you create a method inside of what?
Inside of JavaScript, using the JavaScript language.
When you say method, you just mean creating a function?
Function and method are the same thing, sorry.
Okay. So you would just write function, and then you could say hello.
Okay. It takes in a argument called first name. So what do I type there?
First name in the parentheses?
Yep. Like this?
No. It would be first capital name.
First.
Yeah, capital for the N.
All right. And then how do I console log? How do I print out hello first name?
You do console.log.
Yep.
And then parentheses first. Yep. Hello first name.
Let's just see if this works. So I've got a function called say hello, takes in a method, a parameter called first name. And all we're going to do is we're going to console log hello first name. We're just going to say hello to John. Let's see if this works. Node examples.js just says hello John. Perfect. We're going to change this into ES6 because this is the old version. So we're just going to say const say hello. We're going to throw an equal sign. We're going to throw a fat arrow. And we've just converted it really quick. Run it again. Hello, John. The same thing inside of Python is very similar. Before, over here, we said it's function, say hello. We're going to define something called say underscore hello. Still takes in a first name, colon, because they have curly braces, we do not. Print, got the F string, or formatted string, hello, first name. Right down here, I'm going to call it by saying, say hello, John. Same thing. Say hello, snake case instead of camel case, snake case instead of camel case. Print is the same thing as console log. The way that we interpolate using curly braces inside of JavaScript is backticks, $, curly brace. We put the F instead of the backtick, and then just no $, just the curly brace. When I run Python examples.py, I get hello, John. It should be fairly straightforward. I'm going to hold on to all this right here because I really wanted to get to factorial and just kind of show you how quick it is to translate. So let's jump over to Juliett Platoon. We're going to jump over to, I think it was factorial. I'm going to go to my pull request. Where is mine? Right there. I'm going to just grab my stuff right over here. Bring this back up. And I'm going to change, I'm going to create a new file called factorial.py. And I'm just going to open that up, Command T, factorial, and then it opens up here. I'm going to change all of these. I'm going to highlight the 2 forward slashes, press Command D a bunch of times to select all of them, and then change it all to a hashtag to turn it into a comment. Just change it to Python. Pretty simple. Write a method in Python called factorial. Someone tell me. Anybody?
Yeah.
Okay. Factorial takes in a parameter called number. Colon. Okay. Check that number is actually a non-negative integer number. Oh, I don't know how to do that. Let's say Python check input type is number. Oh, right there. They're right there as well. Stack Overflow. Looks like someone has entered something, input something. If it's an integer, I don't get it.
So maybe it's int print.
Yeah,
Whatever.
looks like, yeah, that's what it looks like. We'll find out. If number,
Or no, it should be int parentheses number equals true.
okay, so if int number equals true, oh, if it's false. And then we're going to just print that is not a number. And let's just see if that we can get that far for now. Factorial of apple. Hopefully this runs. Python factorial.py. Nope.
It's just trying to turn it.
Okay. Let's
If
Oh.
number equals int number,
we could do that, but there's another one right underneath that says is digit. Let's find out. If number is digit equals false, print that's not a number. That is not a number. So not this one is this the way that this works is if number is equal to int of number. That is whoever said that was correct. But another way you could do it, again, there's multiple ways to solve a problem. You can just say if the number is a digit is equal to false, print that's not a number and return. Okay. Set a variable equal to output, and that's equal to 1. Output is equal to 1. Set up a loop that starts at number and goes down by 1 until number equals 1. Now this is a little bit more difficult because we had that for loop a little bit earlier. So let's just take a look at a for loop in Python. All right, so this is printing out the actual object rather than a number. We got a looping through a string, break statement, continue, range. Range could work.
You can always do what I did there. I did while, and then I said whatever is, the while number is greater than 0.
Okay.
And then do basically output times output times. You might actually have to set like a variable or a different variable for count. Like that.
I think this might work.
Yeah.
Let's find out if this works. I'm just going to change it back to it. If number is equal to int number.
Can we just get rid of that?
There. Let me go back to thing equal. I think I forgot the colon at the end. Yep, that's what it was. All right, let's open up on the right side. I'm going to split this to the right. Sorry, I'm going a little faster than I wanted to. Let's change this to JavaScript. These two are exactly the same thing. We have def factorial of number, const factorial equals number. You got the curly braces, opening and closing. We've got the colon, we've got the proper spacing. If number doesn't equal the integer version of the number, meaning that if I give you apple and you can't turn apple into an integer, so that's not going to work. I'm going to print that's not a number. I'm going to console log that's not a number, and we're going to return. Same thing. Output equal 1. And we did a for loop over here where we started like this, but we could also do the same thing with a while loop. So while number greater than 0. I'm going to output times equal number, and I'm just going to do number minus equal 1, and just return output. These two will return the exact same thing. So I've got that while loop over here. One has a parentheses and an open curly brace. One has no parentheses and just a colon. Same thing, same thing. Print output. I'm going to return output because that's for the computer. You can kind of see just how similar these two things are. All right. Are there any questions on anything Python related? Of course, I can talk about this all day, but the best thing that you can do is jump into it. I'm going to stop the recording right here, and we're going to talk about what we're going to do today.